A pleasant day to all of you. So, in continuation with this chapter for the food and beverage control and chapter 8, we're going to discuss about the controlling other expenses. So, on chapter, this chapter actually explained the management of food service costs that are neither food, beverage, or even labor. This cost can represent 15% or even more of an operation sales revenue and must be controlled, of course, financially. No? Um, so aside from that, this chapter also teaches how to identify the costs uh, that cannot be controlled as well as those considered to be non-controllable. In addition to the details, um, how to express other expenses in terms of both number expenses for per guest and serve and other expenses as a percentage of the sales venue. Okay, so there's a lot of expenses. So on this chapter, you will see how to manage other expenses, the fixed, and we will identify the fixed, variable, and mixed expenses, and even the controllable and non-controllable. And also, we need to monitor other expenses like the reducing of other expenses. So as the conclusion, it categorizes other expenses in terms of variable, fixed, and mixed, classify individual other expenses as either controllable or non-controllable, and compare other expense costs in terms of both cost per guest and percentage of sales. Okay, in the managing other expenses, so it's important to see the standard operating procedure, the SOP, in order to control for everything. And then we have also um, the cost related no to beverage operation, wherein this is number one, the cost related to food and beverage operations, because this is something to do with the operating expenses. So we have the music, entertainment, marketing, utility services, and the administrative. So all in all, this cost related to food and beverage operation, basically the entire program now um, for the food and beverage operation. Then we have also the music and entertainment, and then um, I think this is also one of my focus, the marketing with my small venture. Then we have utility services, administrative and general expenses. So let's take a look on the labor expense, wherein it defines uh, labor expenses, salaries and wages. That is um, related to labor and employees. While payroll, it is a gross pay received by the employee in exchange of work. So meaning that this payroll is basically based on the company that receive that hire us. So they have also the fixed payroll when in operation pays in salaries, and we have the variable wherein the salary uh, uh, pay per hourly basis. Okay. So let's take a look on the formula for the labor productivity. So example, we have 60 guests. You have to divide it with the servers and then 15 guests per server. So that's how it goes for the formula labor productivity. Then we have the monitoring other expenses. And then for this, the monitoring other expenses, we have the salaries. And then as you can see for the list, we have the fixed expense, variable expense. So we have to total the other expenses and the other expenses cost percentage. So it's important to monitor the cost expense percentage. So we will identify whether we are losing or not with regards of expense. Once the expense is higher, so we all know that it is something to do to deduct with the total revenue. So it is very important that we know the percentage, how much we already perform with regards of the revenue minus the percentage cost. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, class, kahit ang laki-laki ng sales, and then malaki rin yung expenses. So, in other words, bumababa rin po yung revenue. So, we have to make sure that we need to monitor the expenses. So in reducing expenses, it's important to reduce also the cost of food and beverage with regards of supplies. So once you reduce the cost of food and beverage, so that's why we're looking for a good supplier that usually nagsosource out po tayo, and we usually look into the lower price, no, that is competitive price now in the market. We also reduce costs through the labor related issue. No, like for example, the productivity of the labor. Of course, kailangan po natin schedule sila prior to the man sales per hour, no, yung tinatawag po natin na dapat po yung salary nila nag-incorporate po doon sa dami ng sales natin. So the more sales, the more chance of trying to manage, of course, the labor by means of it's either cost cutting or higher productivities. Of course, yung cost cutting kasi may consequence to have lower um, what they call this, accountability, and of course, yung tinatawag po natin na mas less po yung quality. Okay, we have also reduced costs with regards of facility and maintenance. So, like for example, for the electricity, everything, no, that we use, especially for the energy, we need to manage the energy level, like for example for the water consumption, the electricity consumption. So we need to turn off everything, no, in order to reduce the electricity, the consumption for the electricity, which is very important. And then of course yung occupancy cost reduce. So sa occupancy we can also bargain, no, the rental, and if it is possible, if you're not earning that good, then of course the building, if we are just renting the area, so I think we can also to negotiate with regards of the rental also. So these are the things that's very important on how we will reduce the expenses, especially the cost related labor, wherein it focus more on um, the employee meals, no, yun yung mga ina-adjust natin, the taxes, and of course, the anything, no, that is related to the cost to labor is important. And one of those strategy nga po is to make sure that they have the proper scheduling. Okay, the occupancy cost, which I already mentioned, wherein the rental also can be adjusted, and different depreciation, no, like the buildings. So we need to also negotiate on this occupancy cost. It can be minimum or fixed. Then we have the 10 common sense, and that's 10 common sense which are on the different level of common sense, like turning off all the lights, keep it closed, no, especially when it's turned on, turn down the area, meaning that you need to clean and turn down everything, the ventilation, you need to make sure that everything is closed, change the bulb, watch the water in order to avoid any spills, cook rightly in order to make sure that no surplus or overage, no. And then we have to maintain um, the area and get help, of course. And then, okay, we have also the um, okay, the reducing costs is important. The common sense energy tips for everyone we have mentioned already. And then, of course, the technology tools that we need in order to utilize a proper monitoring. Okay, one of the technology costs that we need to, of course, focus on is the assessment or monitoring of the utility costs, then the energy costs, managing equipment and maintenance records, tracking and marketing. We have menu and, of course, promotional materials, analysis of all other expenses, comparing contents, insurance costs, and other alternative insurance provider, and income tax management and filing. So all of this is the things that we need as a tool in order to succeed to our each of our goal in life. So it's important that we need to know our purpose. We need to know the overall expenses so that we can allocate properly. Thank you so much, and I hope that you're able to learn something for today.